What's going on, everyone? This is Benjamin Dixon with the Benjamin Dixon Show and also reporting for yourblackworld.net. And I'm here with April Rain on Twitter, known as Rain of April, at Rain of April. And we wanted to just discuss an article that was released by the News Journal over the weekend about Hillary Clinton and the Black vote. And how important and intricate the Black vote will be to Hillary Clinton, and the fact that she knows how important the Black vote is going to be for her. And the key takeaway I got out of the article really quickly was the fact that they're keenly aware that the Black vote is likely not to show up in the strong numbers that it did in 2016 for Hillary Clinton if she gets the nomination, which many suspect that she would. And so I brought April Rain with me today. I wanted to share with her and have her share with you because she did, I think, 2 articles, if not more, for Ebony Magazine, an op-ed for Ebony Magazine online, discussing, are we ready for Hillary Clinton, and is Hillary Clinton ready for us? So April, thank you for joining me today.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me back.
So just in general, what you had a chance to read the article that we were discussing? What were some of the key takeaways that you have, and the importance of the Black vote in general to Hillary Clinton and the Democratic Party, but the realities that we just may not show up for her the way we did Barack Obama?
Well, I think that's absolutely right. And it's something that I discussed in both of my articles for Ebony Magazine, that, regardless of who comes next, the first Hispanic president, the first woman president, the first transgender president, the first president who is differently abled, we are just not going to see the type of energy that we saw for the first Black president. I think that's not only because everybody rallied behind Barack Obama, not just Black people, but this was a transcendent moment in history. The fact that he won, and not only won, but won decisively and won twice. So I think that former Senator Clinton is going to have an uphill battle, in part because there just won't be the energy behind her campaign that there was in 2008 and 2012, but also because those that were most energized for Barack Obama, some of them feel that there's a little bit of bad blood and have long memories with respect to the very contentious primary between Clinton and Obama in 2007.
Right. And when I had a chance to read your article, you reminded me of, unfortunately, my memory was not as long, but thank you for the reminder of some of the things that were said by the Clinton campaign, the machine, about President Obama. And I think a lot of people, when they reflect back, and those who just remember outright, there are some hurdles that she has to overcome to even get a second look by many African Americans. But here's my question. In the article, they discussed all of the policy issues that she's bringing up, the fact that she just called for last Thursday an expansion of early voting, which traditionally helps minority groups, particularly African Americans. She called for an end of the era of mass incarceration. She even brought light into the fact that the era of mass incarceration was helped by her husband, former President Bill Clinton. Do you think those policy issues are sufficient to get the momentum and the drive? She won't get the turnout from Obama that we gave to President Obama, but do you think that would be enough, the policy emphasis that she's trying to place specifically on African American issues?
Well, she's hoping that it is enough, right? And it's not just those policies. She is also apparently going to roll out policy issue positions on minimum wage, on substance abuse issues, and overall criminal justice reform, in addition to healthcare. So I think those are all important issues because they are important to the Black community. And it makes sense that she's making sort of this detailed pitch specifically to us. And we really are, as the article said, we really are issue voters, as everyone really should be. It's not just based on race or gender or any other ethnicity or type of demographic, but really at the end of the day, what these candidates are going to bring to the table. So, as I said in my piece, I think that the other candidates who are getting into the race, O'Malley and Chafee, are going to sort of swing Hillary Clinton to the left to an even more liberal position than she may take otherwise, just because they are far left of her generally. And that's a good thing for voters, because once we get her and others on record discussing, all of the sweeping changes that they would like to make, we can hold their feet to the fire once they are in office.
Right, right. Now, here's a question that I want to dig in, and because in the Black community, there are very distinct voices with regard to the performance of Barack Obama, particularly in the realm of Black issues. There are those who absolutely, adamantly believe that President Obama has not done enough, that he should be ashamed of the performance that he's done with the Black community. And then you have those who feel like he's done as much as he probably could have done, even though they may want him to do more. There's a train of thought, and I'm loading this question up intentionally because I just want you to unpack it. There's a train of thought and actually an opinion that's been forwarded that Black people would have done better or will do better underneath a white president. A lot of times that's used as a way to disparage President Obama. But I wonder if that's just not true, if that's true simply because of the fact that President Obama's hands are tied with anything that he does with regard to race because of his race. And the fact that a white president or a Hispanic president or anyone else realizes that if they want our vote, they have to cater and address cater to and address our issues. What are some of your opinions on that big question that I loaded up?
I think that's absolutely right, and I should say that I am of the camp that says that I think he's done just about the best that he can with what he's been given. But and I talked about this. I wrote a piece on my website that says President Obama is not our savior. And if he is, then what are we going to do come 2016, right? So anyone that comes after him is going to have an easier way to go because he's already laid the foundation and gotten so much through. So we now have the Affordable Care Act. So any improvements that are made to healthcare 2017 and beyond are really based on the fact that we have the Affordable Care Act from President Obama. So almost anyone is going to have an easier time, especially with respect to social issues, just because he's done so much. Even the fact that we don't have comprehensive immigration reform yet, he's gotten the ball rolling there and has people talking. And so that's going to make it even easier for the next president, whoever he or she may be, to get that finally passed and through. But I take issue with the fact that anyone would say that we will have an easier time with social issues under a president other than President Obama, because we've had 200 years, right? and what exactly has been accomplished in that time? And we even have former President Bill Clinton, who Toni Morrison famously called the first Black president. So in fact, it wasn't until we had an actual African-American president in the White House that we've seen some of the changes that we have. So now to say that, oh, it's going to be so easy for anyone else, it does in fact discount all of the successes and the achievements that he has made.
Right. And, I fall, it depends on the issue where I fall with President Obama. I think there are some issues that he could have addressed a lot more directly. Just some things, some of his language choice that I disagree with on certain things. But I also know the type of unprecedented opposition that he's faced, never before seen any president in my lifetime, any that I've read about historically. We've never seen a House divided as much as it has been underneath President Obama.
And that's true, not just from Republicans, but also from Democrats. And that's the really interesting point, that he has had to fight within his own party, and we can look to the midterms in 2014 and how so many of the candidates wanted to distance themselves from President Obama while simultaneously ride his coattails, which seemed very hypocritical.
Right. And then we saw how many of them lost. Those that distanced themselves from President Obama really lost, where those that actually supported President Obama actually won. And that's why we got the shellacking, if I can use his word, that we got in 2014. So with regard back to Hillary then. Hillary and her laser-like focus on the Black community, do you think that it's going to be enough? Do you think that it's going to be, we won't see the 66% that we saw, which is, to me, I think as a Black community, we can do better than the 66%. However, that was record turnouts for 2012. So do you think, or let me ask it this way, what does Hillary need to do to actually galvanize the Black vote, to get us excited about voting for her?
Well, I think that she needs to do what any candidate needs to do, which is to speak to the policy issues that are important to us, to show that she is being genuine about them. And she needs to walk that line very carefully. So when we're talking about criminal justice reform, for example, I don't want to see her throwing out the names of Trayvon Martin and Eric Garner and, Tamir Rice and so many other of our Black men and women who have fallen to the hands of police violence and police brutality for political points. So the point needs to be made that criminal justice reform is necessary. I understand that she's going to come out with a proposal for body cameras for law enforcement officers, and I think that may be a good idea. But at the same time, she has to tread carefully to ensure that she doesn't inflame some of the already deep tensions and divides that exist between her and the Black community.
Right, because she can't all of a sudden transform into this hero of Black issues when historically that has not been the case. Although she can use this opportunity to lead the way if it's done right. I was looking at some of the names of the people that she's bringing in into her camp, and some of the names I recognize, some of them I didn't. And it's really about who advises her. I hope that she gets a solid team. And this is we're having this discussion as if it's a foregone conclusion that she's going to be the nominee, but that's not necessarily the case. But this is the thing that bothers me about the article that I read. The issues that she is bringing up as intricate and important to the Black community all stem around police violence, unemployment, healthcare, minimum wage, all of these issues that they're important to the Black community, but to me, it's a reflection of the United States of America that you have an entire segment of your community, of your nation, that is disproportionately affected by all of these negative things, such that a presidential candidate has to address those negative things. I mean, what is that? I mean, I'm moving away from Hillary right now, but that in itself should say something to every single candidate about the state of Black Americans, that the issues that are important to us are really some of the worst issues that are happening in America. What do you think?
I think that's absolutely right. And we are in a sad state of affairs, but I think at the same time, all of the candidates have to take the country where they find it, right? And so right now, that really does mean speaking to all of these social justice issues and concerns that we have. It seems that there have been a lot of racial incidents in the recent past. And I want to wonder whether part of that is because we have a Black president. And so that these Black men and women that are falling, are standing in the proxy, because there are so many angry people in the country, angry that we have a Black president, that they are lashing out. And because they can't get to the president, that, they can get to a neighbor or a community member.
Without a doubt, I agree with you there that and it's disingenuous and insulting when you hear Republicans say, "Oh, the nation is as divided as it has ever been on racial issues," and then they blame President Obama for it, when in fact it is their voters, it is their media, it's all of the conservative mindset that is really fueling the negativity. And a lot of people, normal everyday citizens, are standing in as a proxy for the man in the White House that they just cannot believe ever got there in the first place. So I absolutely agree with you there.
Absolutely. And that's the concern, you know, and it'll be interesting to find out what happens in 2017, regardless of who replaces President Obama in the White House. You know, but until that day, for the next 450 days or whatever we have left, it's going to be incumbent on the candidates that have announced and that are going to announce to speak to these issues and make sure that they are addressing them in a genuine and consistent manner.
Absolutely. And then I would just, and first of all, thank you, April, for your insight. And I want people to check out your material, the 2 articles that you wrote for Ebony. We'll put them in the links of this video. And then also I want them to follow you at Reign of April on Twitter, because when a couple of things that I read in your pieces really stimulated my mind in terms of the positioning that Hillary Clinton must take. But I want to ask you this one last question before I let you go. Do you think that Hillary would run into issues for female voters and for women? Do you think she'll run into the type of opposition if she wins the presidency on those issues, whereas President Obama ran into a brick wall, quite frankly, in terms of he couldn't even, in many respects, could never even address Black issues to the level that someone else may have? Do you think that she will find some kind of parallel with women issues?
I think she will, but I don't think that it will be as stringent as President Obama has. So, for example, you know, the very first bill that President Obama passed into law was the Lilly Ledbetter Fair Pay Act, you know, for women who have been who have experienced workplace discrimination. You know, and President Clinton, if that's what she becomes, can expand on that. But I think there is, you know, and there are people out there, there are voters, potential voters out there, Americans who think that a woman should not be president, and there are women who think this way. So she's going to run into a little bit, and you know, I think that there will be some gender discrimination. You know, we know that the Congress is overwhelmingly male, and so there will be some pushback, but not to the same extent, I don't think, that President Obama faced.
Well, absolutely. I agree with you there. And it's just we are really just beginning this phase in earnest, the election cycle in earnest. So it'll be interesting to see how it plays out, how Hillary Clinton walks that fine line that she must walk. And actually, any candidate is going to have to walk. And I really appreciate all of the different movements, the Black Lives Matter movement, all of the different protests and actions that we've seen, because they have moved us to a place where we aren't going to take anything less than what we're expecting from a candidate at this point. And I think that is really, it bodes well for African-American issues, because they've, in many ways, the last 8 years and the unprecedented opposition and the vitriolic responses from the right has moved us to a place where they've awakened a slumbering giant. And now we're so much more fierce, and I think in 2016 than we were in 2008. And I think that is going to benefit us very, very well. April Reign of April. I want everyone to follow you on Twitter at Reign of April. And this is Benjamin Dixon with the Benjamin Dixon Show, reporting for yourblackworld.net. Thanks so much for joining me, April.
Thank you for having me.